So we have the spare here, right? And in the spare we can slot in this lineage support gem, which after 7 seconds it triggers Annihilation, which is an actual eternity. Like you can cast this here, and you can let a boss just stand there for 7 seconds. Yeah, they're just gonna be dead. But most bosses don't just stand there and just take it. So they move around, they dance. So we need to get this skill off as quickly as possible. So in order to do that, we're going to use Soul Offering. Now, Soul Offering by itself
Not yet.
is really not going to help our case here. So we can cast it, nothing's going to happen. But we can add another lineage support gem where our spells will, or any spell that we cast will affect around our Soul Offering here. So now, when we cast this, it's going to cast one on the ground and one on the Soul Offering, and it will instantly cast. Now, this makes it do 50% less damage, but we can easily add this support gem right here, which sacrifices 2 of our skeletons instead of just 1.
Need more time.
And it will instantly cast on 2 of our skeletons instead of just 1. So, and there's another trick you can do. I don't think this is worth it. Most bosses die way before you have a chance to initiate this plan. But anytime you have a plus to limit, for some reason it affects how many cursed rounds you can have around your Soul Offering. And I don't understand why this happens, but it just does. What you can do is find 2 limits to gems. So we can already do 2, right? We can instantly cast right here. But we can do 4 if you really want to. So I can put down the cursed ground, stab 2, and then we can cast it 4 times. If you really, really want to, which is a 200% damage, because each individual one is going to hit differently. I don't think this is really worth it. To do it this way, you don't really need this, though this is also will be helpful in a moment. As I explained to you the actual problem with this build, and why it's not as good as it looks. Gonna be any fluff here. And probably the hardest boss for this build to beat, besides the ritual boss. Because that boss is asinine, to be honest. But this boss moves around an ungodly amount. He's very hard to track down. So right when we start, hopefully he doesn't teleport away too quickly. We gotta ramp up just a little bit. Alright. So we're gonna try to keep him there. We'll try not to move around too much unless we have to. Dance around the boss. He moves out of the way for the 14th time. This is how it goes sometimes. Boom, bada bing. I mean, it's not going to be the fastest kill you've ever seen, but with our defensive setup and our damage, you're basically not in any danger at all. Though, to be fair, I've put a decent amount of investment devised into this build to make sure that even when I miss and I have to run around in a circle, it's really not so bad. A couple other quick little tidbits. You absolutely need this other lineage support gem where your minions cannot be damaged and they deal no damage, so that way your pillars don't get destroyed before they get the full cast of the beam off. You also need these minions to be alive as long as possible, so that way when you're ready to cast your beam, they're around for you to get your beam cast. There are times where all of your minions die and you want to cast your beam and they're just not there, but it doesn't happen often enough to really complain about. We actually don't spend a lot of mana unless it's to cast
Need more mana.
this totem here. So we have the recoup 8% mana when a persistent minion dies, and we're stabbing these guys to kill them all the time. So like we're mass murdering our friends. And then we have a support attacks always made on hit. Might as well just have a little extra slow on enemies. And we have this just for fun. I don't actually think this increases my damage or does anything for me at all, but it puts a green circle around me, and I think that's kind of cool. Other than that, we are a very basic chaos strain build. It's just very simple. We'll just do our damage with Essence Strain, Dark Effigy, and Contagion. We don't really like during maps, unless we're in like a 100,000 rune deep expedition and we need to actually cast the beam. This beam's actually very unnecessary unless we're fighting a boss. Though I will say, if I were to just fight a boss with Essence Strain, Contagion, and Effigy, the boss will die, but it will probably take a little bit longer. For mapping, it absolutely just clears. You don't have to change anything with the build at all. It just all just works. And because we're gemling, we have access to some pretty unique spells here, which do things that they wouldn't normally do. So our Blasphemy here has our magnitudes of curses be just as they were cast normally, instead of having the less magnitude on them, which is very good for this slow right here. You can basically freeze in place every single mob you walk into. They just don't move. The white mobs are at 105% slow. The blues a little less. Yellows at like 30 to 40, I think. And bosses get slowed by like 25%. Very useful when you want to stick things together just so they just don't hit you, to be honest. It's another easy defensive layer we can put on along with this. So this right here is hard carrying the defenses for this build. We're talking, it gives an ungodly amount of armor if you can stack this high enough. We have 9 stages at 45% each. To see the actual number difference, look at this. We're at 35k armor with it on. Let's turn it off. Let's see what we're at. 17k. This is almost worth exactly 50% of our armor, which is actually crazy. And if this bug ever happens to you, you can just go in here, make sure the weapon sets on, your skill's not dead. I thought it was dead for quite some time. It would make me quite upset because I had to try to corrupt that extra quality percent. And to continue on with the defensives, because we really don't need too much more attack besides just scaling the gems. We have Convalescence right here. It's only like an 8-second cooldown with this build. You can just kind of press it all the time and your energy shield's just always recharging. It's very nice, and by the time that something happens and you need more energy shield, it's going to be back up. This cooldown recovery rate is crazy. Other than that, we are a basic Essence Strain Contagion build, just with a couple extra fluff pieces. Though, to be fair, we have 2 uniques on. which enable this build. Well, it enables certain parts of this build. You don't actually need Blasphemy here. It just makes mapping at 200% Delirium on, irradiated tier 17
Need more
fucking
time.
maps just completely a joke. But we're using this chess piece to do it. So we're looking at a couple of key things here. As a gymling, you absolutely love the quality to all skills. And we're a caster, so we get the increased attack cast speed. Maximum resistance increase is always good. We don't really use that last or the ignite, so you deal chaos damage instead of fire damage. But we love applying an additional curse for free, which enables the run Blasphemy. But you absolutely do not need this. It build works just fine without it. It's just a really nice quality of life to have. And we're also using another ring unique right here, and we're using it just for fun, basically. So this gives you a stack of Dark Whisper, and Dark Whisper increases your curse magnitude for each Dark Whisper you have, and you can have up to 10. Okay, yeah, there it is. This effect down here doesn't actually matter because you can just use your potion, and your energy shield's almost always recharging, so it doesn't really affect you in any type of way. It just gives you 40% more damage against targets in your presence. It's literally just a 40% increased damage plus your curse magnitude. So there's nothing wrong with this. And of course, we're using a scepter. And the only other unique thing we have is it's not really unique per se, but it's not exactly you're not gonna find it on the ground. But we allocate Paragon, which is one of the nodes that you don't see on the tree, and we allocate another 5% quality of all skills to bump up that quality as much as possible. The quality helps our Arctic armor significantly so. Like we're talking, like let's just take this off for a second. Give it a second. So the quality adds about 8k armor right here. That's your 10% quality. On top of that, we're allowed to play with low mana because our Despair, which should be costing 358 mana every time we cast it, is completely free. We don't spend any mana at all on this. And on top of that, the only time you're really going to spend mana is when you're casting Effigy. But you really don't need to cast it but once every once in a while, so you don't really need the mana regen. Once you cast this once, Contagion, and you cast Essence Drain, you can kind of just let your maps let your dots do the work, and everything's just gonna die around you. Really simple. The minions also add an extra layer of defenses because they're going to absorb a significant amount of firepower from enemies just by being in the way for the extra 20 seconds that they're alive, because they're going to instantly go in there and just die. But them just standing there and being in the way is another defensive layer. They'll kind of clump up the mobs as well, so if you're in an extremely high map, extremely difficult situation, at the end of the day, these guys right here will clump up mobs on them, and then you can stab them and instantly cast your Annihilation to actually obliterate whatever's on top of them. I've never had a single mob survive this right here. Not a single mob. Though, to be fair, I spent a lot of currency on this build. Like, this was 25 divine, and I believe this was 10. So that's, I wouldn't say it's the most currency, but, it's not the smallest of it. Other than that, we're just stacking defensives on the rest of the gear because we're using 2 uniques, and we gotta get them from somewhere to try to spec spell damage and get as much levels to spells as possible. Like, the higher your level spells, the more damage they do, the more benefit you get out of everything about the spell. I believe that's it. I'll leave you with a map that I am about to complete, and through this map real quick. I'm farming the Val City over here for two reasons. One is just kind of free loot. Second reason is I can just put 4 tablets in here and get infinite vault symbols out of it. At the end of the day, we're just a simple contagion build. We can cast our beam to do things that's unnecessary. You can see how much this curse is slowing these mobs around us. Basically, no danger whatsoever. Take a direct hit from that boss, it's not a big deal. I don't even know where this guy came from. There must be a little temple under him. Take our little green circle that does who the fuck knows when we're doing this. Keep on trucking along. If you do deep in, it's easy just to hit your potion and you'll be fine. A lot of times we don't even need our curse to even kill things. And when we do, it is no effort to easily just slam a despair down, do a little bit more damage, and we will be able to go from there. Now, we're not going to be able to sustain getting our ass beat if we decide to walk inside a pack of mobs, but as long as you're not just walking in there willy-nilly, you're going to be just fine. The armor stacking caster I have actually kind of been enjoying more than the energy shield stacking caster, only because it's just I find it easier to stack armor and like I don't know what it is. I see like, ooh, look, there's damage reduction, but even though I can see the ES going to like fucking 18 quintillion. We'll break this just for fun. Get 0 loot out of it real quick. Just how it is. We don't even bother picking those up, to be honest. Waste too much time just picking up the items. I do wish some of these nat points would work, because I didn't have missed so many things. I barely even saw this here, to be honest. If I didn't hover over it, I wouldn't have even seen it. The boss that comes out of here usually has about 100 HP. But there's no danger. Easy enough. We killed the boss. He's dropped no loot as per usual, and we'll just go on to the next adventure. We're gonna kill this guy real quick. I like this boss because he stands still. Sometimes your minions don't go in and you just have to use the command button to make them go in. It's not a big deal. Easy enough, simple boss fight. Gonna go grab the rest of our temples, and I'm gonna be out of here. Show my skill tree off. So it's gonna look odd at first, but we have this Templar starting point that we can allocate points from. So the first thing that I did was I went and got this, and I built from here all the way over here, slap that bad boy in, and then I was able to delete every single point all the way over here, and then start from right here instead. So I was playing this build with an okay efficiency, starting from this point right here and coming down and around and going over here, just taking basic damage nodes along the way. And the build was working just fine for the most part. But I will say, after getting this right here, it really came to its own, because you really don't have access to this side of the tree without it. And the one that's not Templar, the Sorcerer one, is going for like a unlimited divine at the moment. So let's type it in real quick. So the Mercenary one cheap, nobody plays that apparently. We gotta type it in like this. And allocate passive skills. Cool. As I can. Allocate skill from. Okay, let's see. If you type in this one from the Sorcerer start point, it's gonna cost a lot. Like, this one cost 15 divine. It was 55 the other day, to be fair. But still, that's 15 divine, and it is pretty easy to get pretty tanky just by grabbing a couple of ES nodes, like here, here, and there. We grabbed the Patient Dirty up here, and that's really all the defensives that we need. We really don't need to be any tankier than that. You can survive almost everything in the game just from that. You're not going to survive any one-shots, but if the monkey lands his column on you, you're going to be down at 1 HP, but you will live. And other than that, we just grab as many chaos stuff as possible. Simple enough. We also don't really need any more past this 3. So doing the 4th ascendancy is not even necessary for this build.